Good morning, everyone. Welcome to game day. It's West Ham against Manchester City, and we're going to talk a lot about that in the later on in the show. But firstly, we're going to just do a quick wrap up on the transfer window that closed. I won't lie to you. We're recording this on Friday night. It just closed, and what's happened so far today? There's been quite a lot of movement. We didn't get the striker that we wanted, so I assume that Bowen is going to end up playing as a like he did last year, square peg in a round hole. The ones we didn't shift were Irving. He refused Celtic. Apparently, he chose to stay. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Ings. I think he turned down Southampton earlier in the window, which is a bit disappointing. We finally got shot of Agüed on loan to Real Sociedad after he turned down many clubs as not being big enough for him. Zuma has finally signed for 2 years in Saudi and signed a contract to say he's left West Ham, most importantly. That's the first time I've heard that's been done. Ward-Prowse has gone to Forest, and good luck to him, because I think he'll play more or less in the role that he's designed to play down there as central attacking midfielder, right? Not a defensive midfielder, not a deep line midfielder. It's not his game. Cornet, his career could have been so different if only that Chelsea goal had been allowed by that keeper, which was a perfectly good goal, if you remember. But he's after that, he just never got in the side again, did he? And I think looking down the list, Chris, I think that is the sum total of what's happened, other than obviously Carlos Soler, a very highly rated player from PSG, has joined us to give Paqueta some competition. What do you think about the window?
I'm happy. I think it's been overall it's been a good window. The only downside for me would be the fact that we didn't sign another striker. That would have been good. Have a slight concern about the centre-back positions now, because we've now only got 3 senior, or shall I say experienced centre-backs at West Ham, one of which is obviously very new to the club, in Todibo, so he's going to need time. And I guess the fourth one is Casey, so that is a slight concern. But in terms of the overall window, I think it's been really good for us. We've signed some good players. We're just going to need time for them to gel and get cracking.
No, I think you're right. I think it was a 95% excellent window. It was a complete squad rebuild. Let's not underestimate what's been done. 10 players have come in, if you count that Mohamed Kante, and God knows how many we've lost. I think it's about 14. A total squad rebuild. And I just think that these first few games that have happened, we've just won back-to-back games somehow against Palace and Bournemouth. We had a bit of a disappointing opener against Villa, and now we've got City. After this, we've got 2 weeks off because it's an international break for the Pointless Nations League. And I think this was always the plan of Lopetegui, to get to that point of the international break however he could. Now he knows exactly who's staying and who's going. There's a number of people, and I've heard it from more than one person, Chris, that Agüed wasn't the best person to have around in the dressing room when he wasn't playing.
Yeah. I think that rumour's been going. It's kind of rife, isn't it? So if that is the case and it's true, then good riddance, right? We don't want that in the dressing room, particularly with a new squad. It's not what we need. So, good luck to him, but happy to see him go if he's a bad influence.
Well, he wasn't suitable to the Premier League. He just didn't work, did he? And I mean, I know a lot of I didn't like Moyes, but he was apparently a very disruptive influence in the Moyes dressing room last year. And I completely disagree with anyone doing that. You shouldn't be causing a disturbance in the dressing room. I think you remember when you watch some of the West Ham games, you see players come off the pitch, and the first one to greet him was Agüed. It's like he was a big character, an important character in the dressing room. Even the kids, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? You never know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know. You don't know what's going on in the dressing room, training grounds. But as I said, if he's a negative influence amongst the group, we don't need that at West Ham. We don't. It's a shame, though, because I do think there was a player in Agüed. I do. I don't think he particularly suited our style of play under Moyes, arguably who did in some respects. I'm sure he'll be a lot more successful playing out in Spain. Different style of football out there. He'll get more time on the ball. It's not as fast and frenetic. So, look, good luck to him. But as I say, if he was that negative influence, then...
Yeah. I'll tell you what, my one reservation about him is that he played in France for one of the top sides and that side spent most of their time up the pitch, right? And he was very, very strong in that position because he used his pace to get himself out of trouble and everything else. He liked it. Didn't like sitting deep, weren't suited to him. Playing for the team that he's gone to now, which is Real Sociedad, they're 13th in La Liga. So they're not going to be pushing up the pitch every week. So this is really a big test for him. When he plays in the Morocco side, he's usually in a very, very solid backline for Morocco, isn't he? And we've seen that he's a little bit flaky with the ball over the top. He's not very good in the air. So let's see what I think we overpaid for him. I think we overpaid for him big time. He has been bad mouthing West Ham this week as well, unsurprisingly. And also, he turned down a 20 million offer from Saudi. So he could go on that. We were going to get 4 million up front and 16 million, 17 million once he'd completed a year. Now we're getting 1.6 million. And let's see if they want to buy him afterwards. But either way, that has been a really, really bad signing.
Yeah, it has. It has. And I think the mere fact that he hasn't been part of matchday squads since the start of the season, I think that speaks volumes, bearing in mind this is a new manager coming in as well. A fresh start for him, as well as all the players, and he's not even been involved in it. That kind of speaks volumes. So I think everything that you have said about, him being a negative and bad influence, that sounds like it does ring true, because why would he not be part of it?
I agree. And also because Lopetegui is taking more of a rounded view of the squad, right? So he'll be out to sea straight away.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I don't really care how he gets on there, right? As long as we get rid of him, I just focus on the players that we do have now, and I'm happy with the window. Go back to the point, and yeah, now we know who what our squad is. Obviously, with the addition of Soler, which I believe is happening, and he's second now, which is a loan, I believe, for the season. Yeah, look, just focus on what we've got, not what we're losing.
I think there's late rumours that we might be in for Reece Nelson, who's another right winger from Arsenal. Don't know why. And also Chuck E. Cheese, what's his name? Chelsea. I can't pronounce the name. Honestly, I don't know the player, but he's another attacking midfielder. We've just signed one, right? Why would we need another one? I don't know. I think all in all, it's a shame, because this has been a magnificent transfer window right up until the last bit. Having said that, it's taken the whole window to shift some of this deadwood.
But we're there now. And I'm glad it's over. Delighted the window's closed now, despite the fact that it would have been good to sign a couple more, but we haven't. We move on with what we've got, and I'm just glad, because I'm sick and tired of all of the rumours and everything else, right? So it's good just to know what we've got now. So
it bodes well for January, right? We've got the January transfer window in 4 or 5 months, and maybe we can put the final piece, maybe a centre half and a striker. Unless Casey does fit in, and I think he's the more ready out of all of the kids. I think he's the most ready, to be honest. So I wouldn't be averse to seeing one kid be blooded in the first team if need be. I'm not against that at all, really. So look, I think we kind of aligned on that. Let's talk about Man City. So this is the scariest of the four. When we looked at these 4 fixtures, including a League Cup game, we were kind of we were worried we're going to get no points and really struggle out of these 4, right? And the fact is we're 100% better than that. We've got 3 points on the board. So the pressure's off, and this goes down as a bit of a free hit, doesn't it, against Man City?
100%, yeah. I mean, I'm not expecting anything from this. I'm really not. I'm still looking forward to it, because it'll be interesting to see how we fare against a quality Man City team. It'll be a really good test, and maybe a good reflection upon what Lopetegui is like as a manager playing against one of the big clubs in the Prem. So I'm looking forward to it in that respect. So yeah, bring it on.
I think that's really interesting. I don't think we're going to see in this game, because I did thing with Hammer's chat tonight, and the one thing I said on there that I really believe is that we haven't seen the Lopetegui formation or tactical approach yet. I think he's just got through these first 4 games as best he can, by largely using a lot of players from last year while the other players are bringing in. Now, window shuts. He's now got 2 weeks knowing what his squad is going to be like for the first half of the season. So when I go to Fulham in a couple of weeks' time, I'm hoping to see a very different approach and Lopetegui team. So I don't know whether we're going to see anything other than a bit of a hybrid of what we've seen the last couple of weeks, right? Tomorrow, I think it'll be more solid in the middle. We'll come to talk about West Ham in a minute, but as for Man City, you can't really put a formation together because some people call it 4-1-4-1, some call it 4-3-3. They change formation constantly throughout the game. They tend to overload down one side and play crossfield balls and get like a Doku running against an AWB, which would welcome, assuming AWB plays. Doku is the one that Wan-Bissaka had in his back pocket in the FA Cup final. So I think he's probably capable of doing that again. But Doku would be a little bit determined, won't he? Haaland apparently is going to be the captain, which is a bit ominous. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing, but he started the season on fire, which is a bad thing. There are a few injuries in their side, and this is how I think the Evening Standard called the formation. So, but the problem with them is obviously this can be their primary formation, and then if those wide players ain't working, for instance, or the players in the middle are not working, Pep can just bring on equivalent or just as good.
Yeah.
Refresh them.
Grealish, they've got so much quality. Everyone knows it throughout their squad. And to your point, their ability to kind of rotate their formation in game, it just confuses the hell out of oppositions. I mean, they're just incredibly good at that. So that is a concern. I mean, there's so many concerns, right, with City. You've got players that can play in a multitude of different positions, in particular the defenders who play as midfielders. They're just proper total footballers, aren't they? So many of their players across the team. So
really are.
It'll be really interesting. Obviously, with regards to our style of play, it's changed a bit. We do tend to have a little bit more possession now, which is nice to see. But obviously, Man City are all about possession and with that higher press as well up the pitch. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I'm really intrigued. Really intrigued by this game, and I don't think Haaland's going to have a field day, touch wood, like he did against Ipswich last week against us, providing, of course, we get our lineup right defensively, unlike what we did, the other night against Bournemouth. So, it's going to be tricky. You mentioned Doku as well, Gary. I know that he had a particularly good game against us last year at the London Stadium. I know he causes us a lot of problems. He's got a lot of pace, a lot of trickery. And it's interesting because at that point last season when we played them, I was thinking, right, who would I rather have, Doku or Kudus? Of course, I'd rather have Kudus, but Doku is a threat. I mean, he's a real threat, so we do need to be very, very mindful and careful about him. And who knows, with regards to the new guy they've got, I think his name's Savinho, a Brazilian guy, they could switch wings. We don't know because they've got the ability to switch players over from left and right. So even though you've got AWB hypothetically up against Doku, they might switch it and get Doku on the other side of the pitch. I just don't know. I wouldn't rule it out, but those for me would be the main threats, in addition to, of course, Haaland, he's on fire already, isn't he?
I think if you take trends in the game so far, I think Kudus has ended up on the right. Bowen, as the other day, ended up going through the middle, did well as well, with Kudus on the right, hand in hand. Souček, when you got Bowen up front, I think he likes an aerial threat, so Souček will provide that. So I think Souček is going to play this game, and I think Paqueta end up down the left with Emerson, where he does it right down the left when he's in the mood. He ain't really been in the mood so far this year. I'm hoping that this midfield two of the metronome, Guido Rodriguez and Edison Alvarez, who back to his filthy best. Look at the size of him compared to little Rodriguez, right?
Can't you make him bigger? He's still got him a little bit.
Well, it's just because he's got his arms in there, right? That's the thing. He's far away rather than this one's near, right?
Body fatism. He's not that small. He's really.
I know. I will fix that. But it's becoming a feature, Chris. Becoming a feature. So I think they're going to be a wonderful combination in central midfield. They're going to, from a defensive perspective, they're going to drop back and give cover. When we're going forward, I think you'd expect Rodriguez, he's perfectly happy to just sit in front of the defence, let Alvarez maraud up the pitch, and Souček can be a box crasher. Meanwhile, you've got Kudus creating havoc down the right-hand side, Paqueta taking the piss on the left. He did actually do very well against City last time, and you would have thought that Paqueta, of all teams, would be up for this game.
Yeah. No, I can't. I agree with you, actually. I think when we spoke about this earlier in the week, I was thinking about what Lopetegui would do. And I must admit, I was thinking Antonio is going to start this game.
Yeah.
However, versus what I would want him to do, it would be very similar to what you've got up here. I mean, unquestionably, that would be my back four. It would definitely.
Debo's not ready yet, right?
Yeah, he's not. And so let's just focus on the defense first of all. I'm absolutely happy with that. The only slight concern I have is Mavropanos. Kilman, zero concerns. He's been fantastic so far this season. But when Dinos came on against Bournemouth during the week,
he was awful.
He was awful. And I was thinking about Man City's game that they played against Ipswich last week, and they scored a goal. So Haaland scored one particular goal that was very, very similar in terms of the chance created to what I think it was Evan Nielsen had against us, where it's played over the defence. Right now, if we make those similar types of mistakes against City, they will punish us. Make no mistake about that. So this is the thing. So there's those kind of concerns that I do have. But again, Wan-Bissaka on the right makes me feel so much more comfortable, as does Emerson on the left, right? So I'm happy with that back four. With regards to the midfield, again, that partnership that we've said before with Alvarez and Rodriguez, I think at the moment, based on what we have, look, I'm really happy with that. We just need to get Alvarez back up to speed, 100% fit, and that midfield for me is excellent, and it complements itself so well. Kudus on the right, definitely. I want to see him back in a position where he's going to, really fulfill, his talent, because at the moment he's still doing a great job on the left, but we all know he's better on the right. So totally agree with you on that. Paqueta on the left, well, he's going to have to be if we've got Souček playing in that 10. I know you said being a box crusher, but that's kind of the caveat, right? If he is in that role, he's got to be doing that, and we've got to be putting those balls in the box so he can be going in there causing havoc. Because if we don't, like we did against Bournemouth, or didn't do against Bournemouth, it was pointless him being in that team.
They've got an excellent defence, Chris. They've got an excellent defence. His job has got to be to get in amongst those centre-backs and create some space for Bowen and for Kudus and for Paqueta. He's got to be a disruptor tomorrow, Souček, if it is him. I don't think it's going to be Antonio, but having said that, Antonio, he's always done all right against City for what he does, right? Aim the ball long in the Moyes system and he'll hold it up, I don't think we'll see Füllkrug in this game particularly. So anything, I mean, this is my selection. Do you think you got any changes you'd make?
Well, no, this is what I would want to do, actually, thinking about it. It's not necessarily what I think Lopetegui is going to do. I've got this feeling that he may still start Antonio. I do, because he rested him during the week. Whether that was like kind of by design and, with the Man City game in mind, I don't know. But when you're talking about their back line, maybe he wants someone that he's going to try and really batter their defence. And we know that is Antonio's game, right? He's a beast when he's on it. So maybe he might play him. I don't know. But to go back to your question, no, I'm happy with that lineup. Paqueta, we know he's not as effective on the left-hand side as he is playing through the middle. But when he partners with Emerson on the left-hand side, we know that that's a really good combination. It works really well. So that doesn't concern me at all. I think it's dangerous. The only thing for me is really Thomas Souček. That's the only thing that bothers me. So the only possible change that I could see, and I might be wrong here, of course, because this is just a prediction, is that they continue with Kudus on the left, put Bowen in on the right, drop Souček, and play Antonio, and play in the middle of the 10. That's the only other possibility that I would be okay with. But I just want to see if Souček plays, having much more of an impact than he has done in the previous game, I might add. Not the other ones, because he's done okay, but in the previous game.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of agree with you on what we think he's going to do. Yeah, I absolutely do buy into that. I think there could be a lot of truth in that, to be honest. It'd be very, very disappointing if it'd be surprising if he drops Souček, because Souček's played 90 minutes in every game, hasn't he, so far? Apart from the last, did he come off the last one? Can't remember.
He did. He played the full 90 against Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's a bit weird the way he's suddenly got into playing 90 minutes in every game. The one that will really annoy me if he plays is Sufal. Sufal cannot play against Doku. We saw that last year. That's why Doku had such a great game in that London Stadium game last year, because he fucking murdered Sufal.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was a major threat. And every time he got the ball, I was literally,
because that's what they do. They overload the right hand side, get our players across, switch it to Doku. Doku fucking 1-on-1 against Sufal. What are you going to do?
Of course, it's not going to work. This is the thing, right? So if you look at, if Sufal does start tomorrow, I think unless Wan-Bissaka has an injury, I don't want to say it too early, but I'd be questioning what the hell is Lopetegui thinking, right? What is he not seeing here? Because that would concern me if he was playing Sufal against Doku when we got to fit right back in Wan-Bissaka.
I'm not going to get excited in these games. I do believe these 4 games are an exception to the rule, right? I do believe that once we come back, we're going to come back with a bit more intent than what we're going into the transfer window with. Well, sorry, the international break with.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but let's be honest. We all know, and I'd say the vast majority of West Ham fans will say Wan-Bissaka has to play this game at Wembley. If Sufal plays and Wan-Bissaka, not that he play on the left because we know Emerson will, but if he put Wan-Bissaka on the bench and Sufal played, I would be thinking, what the hell? Like, genuinely, what the hell? So
for that particular one, right? That I think would trigger me.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
I'm okay with any other player because look, I agree with you. It's going to take time before we will know our best lineup, and Lopetegui will know his best lineup. So some of it is trial and error. I admire the fact also that he is trying some of the old players out, from the Moyes era, just to see, as I said before, if they've really got something they can bring to this new era that he's now obviously part of. So I do quite like that. He's not discarded them, so that's good. But Sufal's the only one. He's the only one for me that has to be dropped. Souček, I'm okay with, providing he plays the role that we've discussed. Let's see. Bring it on. I know the stats aren't playing in our favour when you look at how we've played against City over the course of the last 10 years. Just to run through this with you, Gal, I don't know if you know, but you probably do. We all know, roughly, 23 matches, all right, across all competitions in the last 10 years. How many do you think City have won versus how many we have?
Fucking hell. 20?
You're not far off, right? They've won 19. We've won 2. And there have been 2 draws. So the 2 that we've won, Gal, are the cup tie that we won on penalties 3 years ago, I think it was. And then you've got the other one going back to, crikey, what was it? 2015 when
I remember it.
Moses scored.
But I remember that. But this is what I hope we see the end of. Even if we don't see the end of it tomorrow, by the time we go up to Liverpool in that League Cup, that game you're definitely going to go to, and I probably am as well.
Oh, yeah.
I expect to see a team that gives Liverpool a game, not a team that just rolls over.
That's all I hope, right? I'm absolutely fine for us to lose tomorrow, providing we go out and we fight. Okay, we don't just sit back and invite, because the thing is, if you sit back and invite the pressure on, you're going to lose. So why not just focus on using our strengths? Utilizing our strengths now, our attacking players, and giving them a game, giving them something to think about instead of us always thinking about shit. What are we going to do? Right? How are we going to kind of basically?
Exactly. I totally agree. Let's not invite them on. You don't do that against a good side because you just, unless you're extraordinarily lucky, like we were against Arsenal last year away, you're going to get hurt because these teams have got more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And they'll use all those tools, right? And typically, unless you're having a right fucking weird day, it's gonna come off for them. It always does. So look, let's leave it there because we're on 24 minutes. We're determined to keep this one a little bit shorter. Well, our last one took about a bloody hour, didn't it? Right. So so that was a nice snappy review. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Please, can you give the video a like?
Gary, just a quick one. Sorry to interject there. Prediction. What is your prediction?
Oh, we ain't done predictions.
No.
I still think we're going to lose. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2-1 to City. What about you?
Well, I was going to say 2-1, but because you've said that, I don't want to say 3-1 because that won't make me happy.
Say 3-1. Come on, we know it's going to be 3-1. What's your prediction? 3-1. Of course it is. You're edging towards.
I'm going to say I'm going to be optimistic and say, oh God, 2-2. 2-2. I'm going for it, right? 2-2. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm still a giddy optimism when it comes to West Ham. And maybe under this new era, we're going to see something. I'm going to go 2-2.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a bit of optimism. I'll probably, if I'd made this prediction tomorrow, I probably would have gone for a draw as well. So there you go. That's good. So please, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit like, give it a like, and tell other people this video exists. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It really helps us a lot. And hit the bell notification icon. Thank you, Chris. Enjoy the game, everybody, tomorrow. Yeah, well, I'll see you over at the stadium, probably.
You'll see me celebrating. Yeah, you'll see me tomorrow celebrating.
Limbs everywhere.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Gal.
See you later. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.